Everyone mentioned today is innocent until proven guilty in a court of law, and everything I discuss here is theory until proven fact, even if it is. Hey guys, how you going? Okay, let's get into the news for today. Okay, what's Australia doing? They're trying to ban fireplaces. Okay. ABC News here in Australia said wood heaters are estimated to be responsible for more pollution-related deaths than cars on all cars on our roads. The national map shows which areas are affected the most. Okay, so a university's done modelling to make this statement. There's no actual evidence or study with measurable data. It's just modelling. Remember the COVID modelling? All inaccurate data based on whatever the outcome needed to scare the populace into compliance. And we're not the only ones doing that, okay? Peter Sweden said can't make it up. People in one region of Britain that heat their homes with wood stoves now risk a fine of £300. Electricity prices are through the roof, and they build useless wind turbines. Then they ban people from heating their homes with firewood. Climate communism. In the region of South Gloucester? Oh my God, I can't even say it. People are banned from heating their homes with firewood. Not long ago, this was called a crazy conspiracy theory. Now it's happening. Will climate lockdowns be next? And look, they have been doing this for a few years now. They've been trying to demonise wood heaters. Okay? Miss S said that ABC banging on about people using wood heaters to stay warm in winter. Apparently Tasmanians are the big offenders. This is what happens when you have the highest energy prices in the modern world. How about those welcome to country burnings? Oh, there's silence on them though, isn't there? Indigenous woman rubbishes acknowledgement of country. Okay, now Bill Melugin said breaking ice confirms to Fox News they've arrested a Jamaican illegal alien who was employed as a police officer in Maine after he illegally attempted to buy a gun, which triggered an alert to ATF. One sec, guys. ICE says John Luke Evans, who is in the US illegally as a visa overstay, was hired as a cop by Old Orchard Beach PD in ME and admitted to trying to purchase the gun as part of his job. ICE says he first entered the US lawfully by flying into Miami on 9/24/23, but never left on his scheduled departure flight on 10/1/23, overstaying his visa ever since. Patricia Hyde, the field office director for ICE Boston, which arrested Evans, released a blistering statement to Fox slamming Evans hiring as a police officer. John Luke Evans not only broke US immigration law, but he also illegally attempted to purchase a firearm. Shockingly, Evans was employed as a local law enforcement officer. The fact that a police department would hire an illegal alien and unlawfully issue him a firearm while on duty would be comical if it weren't so tragic. We have a police department that was knowingly breaking the very law they're charged with enforcing in order to employ an illegal alien. ICE Boston will continue to prioritise public safety by arresting and removing criminal alien threats from our New England communities. That is insane. Okay, now back to Australia. Kurt Malberg said an Aussie doctor has been found guilty of professional misconduct, not for harming patients, but for posting Christian views, including memes and satire from the Babylon Bee, on social media. Yes, that can now cost you your medical licence in Australia. Meet Dr. Jareth Koch. Jareth is now indefinitely suspended from medical practice because his beliefs were declared too offensive. What beliefs? Marriage is between a man and a woman, children deserve a mum and a dad, gender-affirming care harms minors, and lockdown and mandates went too far. The tribunal didn't argue he was medically incompetent. They had 0 patient complaints, no malpractice in 15 years. Yet 54 social media posts, many of them humorous, most shared in non-public mode, were enough to brand him unfit to practice medicine in Australia. Among his crimes, sharing twice the Babylon Bee memes, quoting advocating on child rearing, posting a Spectator Oz op-ed by more redeeming MP, promoting the Ezekiel Declaration, linking to an AC lobby open letter and writing an article for Eternity News. Instead of traditional warfare, Chinese military will now be trained to shout wrong pronouns at American troops, and Australian ones too. The message from the Victorian Civil and Minister of Trial is loud and clear. You may no longer be a doctor in Australia if your conscience, faith or moral beliefs conflict with progressive ideology, even outside the clinic. Oh, I don't know how to say his name properly. Dr. Koch has spent the last 7 years barred from practicing medicine during his drawn-out disciplinary case. In that time, he had to retain another career just to support his wife and young kids. The ruling only came down last week. This is insane. The tribunal acknowledged his posts weren't directed at patients. They occurred outside the clinic, but he was declared unfit to practice medicine. The tribunal ruled that his conservative beliefs, even shared to a limited audience, violated professional standards. Really? What professional standards do they have? The progressive type. Dr. Koch's legal team argued his commentary was protected by common law right to free speech, implied freedom of political communication, the Victorian Charter of Human Rights. The tribunal disagreed. They ruled it the most serious breach possible, professional misconduct. Wow. Over the next string of tweets, I'll share examples of the actual posts that were cited in the ruling. These weren't hate-filled rants. They were often thoughtful, sometimes funny, always driven by conviction and faith. You decide if they justify a career-ending punishment. Post 1, he shared this. Dr. Koch shared a Babylon Bee satire article. Congressional prayer lasts 2 days, as Democrat includes all 5,787 genders. The tribunal ruled it failed to respect gender diversity and was derogatory to LGBTQI+ persons. The Babylon Bee spoof. Instead of traditional warfare, Chinese military will now be trained to shout out wrong pronouns at American troops. Post number 3. He reposted from Katie Faust, you want a healthy marriage culture? Each child has a same-sex parent showing them the adult they should become and an opposite-sex parent showing what to look for in a significant other. Children observe healthy communication, conflict resolution and daily love and respect, both cheap and effective. The 4th post. In the comments section on a Christian blog, he argued that same-sex attraction can be addressed with therapy. These views are inconsistent with the practitioner being a fit and proper person to hold the registration in the profession, says the tribunal. Okay. Post 5, Dr. Koch reposted a Spectator article, Australia article, by Moira Redeeming, the culture juggernaut of transgender ideology, not kids' stuff. The tribunal said its content showed lack of professionalism and courtesy to other medical practitioners. What, the ones doing the wrong thing? Number 6, he shared the Australian Christian Lobby's open letter to Dan Andrews opposing Victoria's conversion therapy bill. Tribunal said denigrating to LGBTQI persons. In post 7, in an article for Eternity News, Dr. Koch questioned the safety and ethics of gender-affirming care. VCAT rejected his analogy between gender dysphoria and conditions like anorexia as unprofessional and unfit for a medical practitioner. Wow, Australia's really gone down the toilet, hasn't it? He shared the COVID meme below. When you get a friend request and their profile has the stay at home, stay safe frame. Yeah, no. The tribunal ruled it degenerates, demeans and slurs of persons that accepted and consider it right to follow public health orders and likened them to how a Roman Empire would consider a defeated gladiator. Dr. Koch shared this image below. The tribunal found that this post implies COVID-19 jabs were not safe and effective, drew on legitimised anti-vaccination and vaccine hesitancy rhetoric, and contained misleading information regarding them. Okay, he's in the middle. Thinks vaccines are generally good, ferociously against mandated ones, wary of them invented less than a year ago. He's right in the middle, okay? Post 10, he wrote, 2020 will be remembered as the year when the face mask replaced the tinfoil hat as the symbol of paranoid hysteria. Tribunal denigrates, demeans and slurs mask wearers. Then he shared the image below, post number 11. If you've ever wondered whether you would have complied during 1930s Germany, now you know. The post denigrates, demeans and slurs persons that accepted and consider it right to follow public health orders, as it indicated that they were equivalent to the German public who allowed the Nazi, to rise to power. Post 12. Dr. Cox signed I said it wrong again, and shared the Ezekiel Declaration, Calder and Poole, urging then PM Scott Morrison to allow churches to stay open during lockdowns. The tribunal said undermines health advice, minimises the risks of the virus. Who's this tribunal and who's running it? Dr. Cox shared an article by me at the CAN DEC, which also been scrubbed from Google's search index. Tribunal said it minimised the very real risk of the hospital system being overwhelmed and understates the risks of the virus and benefits of the vaccine. It was my body, my choice, rescuing the pro-abortion slogan to promote vaccine freedom. Okay. There's no question Dr. Koch's views are conservative, and his tone at times was strong, but he engaged with real issues, many still under global debate. The response? A near decade-long investigation and the loss of his profession. What's at stake is more than Jareth's career. It's whether Christians can stay in regulated professions without silencing their beliefs. Dr. Koch's sanctions will be decided in early 2026. If appealed, his case could last until 2028, a full decade after the original complaint. Why is it a decade after the original complaint? COVID wasn't in 2018. Okay. Was it other stuff before then, was it? For a much more in-depth analysis, you can follow the link below, thedailydeclaration.org.au. If you're concerned about the erosion of free speech in Australia and across the Western world, share the top post in this thread. Wow. And if you like, you can follow Kurt Malberg on Twitter. X, sorry. I will share that. But that 10 years, I don't know. How did they arrest, no, not arrest him, but maybe he was sharing Christian views in 2018, before it went to COVID. Eric Doherty said Breaking Harvard is ready to dish out $500 million to settle their dispute with President Trump, per New York Times. This would be over double what Columbia University paid when they caved. Elite institutions are caving to Trump just as predicted. Good, so they should. Margaret Cleveland said the HPSCI report on the fake intelligence community assessment on Russia's efforts to interfere in the 2016 election revealed that another huge scandal overlooked. Obama and Brennan and team write a substantially different version of ICA based on phony intel. This becomes clear when you compare the HPSCI report analysis of the ICA with the just declassified version released by Tulsi Gabbard. The HPSCI team reviewed compartmented version, which referenced the Steele dossier and other belatedly reported intel. But the analysts reviewed the classified ICA never saw the compartmented version or the supposed intel backing it up, so they couldn't critique the bad intel, and per HPSCI, Obama kept intel secret by claiming executive privilege. You really have to study HPSCI to compare just how compared to just declassified versions of the ICA to fully get how significant the difference is between the versions was, and thus how explosive the HPSCI report is, which explains why Devin Nunes thinks Mar-a-Lago raid was to get the HPSCI report. I laid it all out here in this, apparently. Details buried in recently declassified docs further implicate Obama in the Russia hoax. Okay, Rod D. Martin. Trump's new weapon to slash spending without Congress. Trump may have found the ultimate budget kill switch, the pocket rescission. It's legal, it's powerful, and it could gut billions in deep state pork without a single vote in Congress. Let's break it down. What is a pocket rescission? It's a rarely used but fully legal tool that lets the President kill funding without Congress lifting a finger. Submit a request within 45 days of the fiscal year's end, and if Congress stall, the money expires. Here's how it works. Congress sets aside funding. The President sends a rescission request under the Impoundment Control Act. If it's within 45 days of September 30 and Congress does nothing, the funds vanish, gone forever. OMB Director Russ Vought said it's very possible we might use pocket rescissions, one of our executive tools that's been used before and it's fully legal. This is how you defund the swamp without getting bogged down by rhinos or Senate Dems. Why now? Trump already passed a $9 billion rescission package on July 24, but there's way more to cut. Congressional gridlock, blue state hostage taking, Trump saying, fine, then I'll go around you. Pocket rescissions are a key, fully legal answer to out-of-control spending. No need to beg Congress, no omnibus hostage taking, no more funding your enemies. Trump pulls the trigger, Congress stalls and the money dies. And Donald J. Trump said, balanced budget now, let's give it a shot. Let's give it a shot. Lots of money coming in from tariffs, do it, DJT. Why do the left and uni party hate this? Because it strips them of their favourite weapon, slush funds, earmarks and backroom deals. And it lets Trump swing the axe alone. He can't spend more, but he can spend less. Trump is done asking permission. He's using the Constitution, the law and the tools of the presidency to drain the swamp whether Congress cooperates or not. That's how a CEO runs a country. And if you enjoyed this content, you can always follow Rod D. Martin on X. Very good. Lee Harris said, incredible TV. GB News embarrassed Keir Starmer directly in front of the world's media by telling Trump UK farmers are being taxed out of existence by IHT. This press conference is an absolute disaster for Keir Starmer. He's visibly squirming. Let's have a listen. I've got to mute myself. Hang on a sec.
We have a lot of unhappy.
Who are you with? Because you're asking such a nice question.
Sorry, GB News. Bev Turner from GB News.
Very good.
We have a lot of unhappy farmers in this country at the moment, and I'm sure the Prime Minister won't thank me for raising this. We've had changes to inheritance tax, which mean a lot of farmers feel they're going to lose their farms when they die or their father dies. How important are farmers to a country?
You mean they're going to lose the farm because of estate taxes?
Correct. So that when they die, they'll have to pay so much. They're cash poor, but they have great properties.
I know. Well, they're cash poor. They're land rich and cash poor. A lot of people are. I've had that too. Sometimes I'm land rich and cash. Sometimes I'm cash rich and land poor. I like it both ways, but as I get older, I like the more conservative. So I did something that I don't know if you can do, but it was great. I love our farmers. As you know, in our tax bill, we have a clause that's very important. We were losing a lot of farms to the banks because a loving mother and father would die and left their farm to their children or their child, but their children, their family. And they loved their family, and they thought they were doing them a favor, but they had a 50% tax to pay. So the land would get valued, and at a high number, because some of the farms were valuable, but they didn't, they couldn't quantify it. And they go out and borrow money to pay the estate tax or the death tax, as it's called. And they'd overextend, and they'd lose the farm. And they'd commit suicide in many cases.
Yeah, we're seeing that.
No. Our levels are nowhere near 50%.
They're not 50%, but the dissatisfaction is real.
We've just introduced where it's paid over many years, works out about an extra 2% a year over 10 years. So it's not at those levels by any stretch of the imagination. But the other thing that we've done, as you know, is make sure that we've got a pathway for farmers that actually increases their year-on-year income, which is the most important thing. And in all of the deals that we do, we ensure that our farmers are the central focus for much of it, particularly on the agriculture, including in the US deal, because I don't think we can go on for years saying that it's acceptable for farmers to have a year-on-year income which isn't sufficient. We've got to fix that problem. We can't simply live with that problem, so it's a very different situation.
Well, we ended the estate tax. There is no estate tax on farms.
Maybe you could do the same.
So.
Okay. So you've seen Starmer squirming there. Okay, flopping aces, said Ghislaine Maxwell, Epstein, Wexner, Ray, Russiagate after years of cover-ups. Trump's DOJ just kicked the hornet's nest. Here's what went down and why the swamp should be panicking. Let's start with this. Ghislaine Maxwell just sat for a 9-hour deposition, 2 full days, under oath, 0 immunity, no friendly prosecutors, no sweetheart deals. This was Trump's DOJ, not Garland's. And guess what? This was the first time in her life she's ever been deposed by US officials. You read that right. Through all the Epstein trials, media frenzies and FBI posturing, no one in government ever questioned her until now. And it gets worse for them. Epstein's money man was Les Wexner, still never questioned by the DOJ, never deposed, nothing. Protected for decades while the media told you to move on. So who just blocked the unsealing of the 2005-2007 Epstein grand jury records in Florida? Judge Robin Rosenberg. And who was her husband? Michael McAuliffe, the same guy who helped Epstein get his 2008 plea deal. What a coincidence, huh? In other words, the judge protecting the Epstein cover-up is literally married to the man who cut the original deal. But don't worry, no conflict of interest there, totally normal, nothing to see, just like Maureen Comey. Meanwhile, Ghislaine's attorney made it clear she answered every single question honestly, truthfully, to the best of her ability. No privilege invoked, no questions dodged, it's all on record, and that means new doors just opened. The deposition creates a new set of Epstein files completely separate from the DOJ's dusty archive under Merrick Garland. Let's be honest, if Garland had dirt on Trump, it would have leaked years ago. He didn't, now Trump's DOJ is running the table. And the Epstein mess isn't the only ticking time bomb. John Ratcliffe just announced the Durham Annex files are being released, you know, the ones that didn't make the original report, and he said something huge. According to Ratcliffe, Russiagate is still an active criminal conspiracy, which means no statute of limitations. New indictments possible, the clock didn't run out, it was never turned off. Ratcliffe was a federal prosecutor. He ran anti-terrorism and national security cases in Texas. He knows how conspiracy law works. This isn't a theory, it's the federal criminal code. 18 U.S.C. 371, conspiracy to defraud. 241, conspiracy against rights, and 242, deprivation of rights under colour of law. So where's Christopher Wray in all this? He spent 7 years dodging every hard question with ongoing investigations. He stonewalled Congress on Epstein, on Russiagate, on J6. And now he's gone. And he doesn't have cover anymore. Time for Wray to answer under oath why Maxwell and Wexner were never touched, why Russiagate was allowed to fester, what the FBI knew about J6 and the pipe bomb, and why every real investigation got buried. Kunstler nails it. This isn't conspiracy theory, it's criminal conspiracy codified in law. Maxwell talked, Ratcliffe files are coming, and the DOJ isn't run by Garland anymore. People are going to jail, you can smell it. This theory will be memory holed by the corporate press, but that doesn't matter anymore. The dam is cracking. Stay loud, stay focused. Justice is finally off the leash. And this is Flopping Aces on X, if you want to follow them. Okay, Kate Davis Court said breaking. I'm at the federal courthouse in Portland covering the initial hearing for Robert Jacob Hoops, an Antifa militant who was arrested by the FBI following a massive raid at his home on Friday. Hoops has been accused of launching several violent attacks on federal police officers at the ICE facility in Portland on June 14th during the No Kings riot. According to an unsealed FBI affidavit, Hoops allegedly threw a large rock at an ICE officer's head, resulting in serious bodily injury. He was captured on surveillance video footage staging multiple rocks near the facility before throwing them at federal police officers. He placed a motorised scooter in front of an exit door in an attempt to trap federal officers inside the ICE facility. When an officer opened the door to stop the entrapment, Hoops allegedly threw a large rock, hitting the ICE officer in the head, according to the affidavit. Additionally, Hoops was captured on surveillance video using a desecrated stop sign as a battering ram in an attempt to break the ICE gate. This task was done with several other Antifa militants, according to court documents and surveillance video. Hoops has been federally charged by the Department of Justice with assault on federal police officer resulting in bodily harm and depredation of government property. There you go. Some guy pretending to be a girl by the look of it again. Okay. Yeah, we know Trump Joe McInnes said, there you go. Suburban black man said, of course Trump's name appears in the Epstein files. Bradley Edwards, an attorney representing around 70 victims, says Trump was the only powerful person who willingly helped in the 2009 Epstein investigation. Trump provided so much credible information that he didn't need to be deposed. Yes, he's named in the files as a hero. Okay. Oilfield Rando said, this is the way the DHS SSP program was a FEMA slush fund under Biden for housing illegals. Trump is using the money to incarcerate them. Presidential elections matter bigly. FEMA is preparing to send $608 million to states to construct immigration detention centres as part of the Trump administration push to expand capacity to hold migrants. Okay, what's this one? Yeah, the online safety is an assault on your freedom. We know that. Britain now is... Okay, jeez. Okay. Oh, Dagmar Unger. July 25th, authorities in Brent, Alabama rescued at least 10 children from alleged sex trafficking ring run out of an underground bunker. At least 10 were drugged, ages from 3 to 15 years old, and multiple suspects paid to abuse them. And there's number 2, pictures. Dear God. This needs to stop, seriously. Oh, and Dr. Ben Braddock. Trump is descended from Scottish nobility. Clan the MacLeods. And his estate in Scotland includes the ruins of the castle that was the birthplace of King Robert the Bruce, who defeated the English and restored Scotland as an independent kingdom. Trump is the most powerful Scottish ruler since King James the 6th. Yeah, I think that's the 6th. V is 5 and 1 is 6 on that side. If it was the other side, it'd be 4th. Lord Bebo said, power move, Trump's in Britain, but nevertheless he's receiving Starmer as guests, so Starmer is not the host. Laugh my ass off. Isn't it supposed to be the other way round? And this one, Leader John Thune. We've confirmed POTUS civilian nominees at double the pace of his first administration, despite President Trump being the only president on record to not have a single one confirmed by unanimous consent or voice vote, even with historic obstruction from Democrats, getting President Trump's nominees confirmed. Way to go. Democracy hacked. Kerry concedes and acknowledges in private optical scanners were rigged. GEM Software Global Election Management System totals votes Premier Election Solutions, formerly Diebold, makes and sells voting machines. Dominion acquired Premier. And Sequoia Capital has invested in over 1,000 companies since 1972, including Apple, Google, Oracle, Nvidia, GitHub, PayPal, LinkedIn, Stripe, Bird, YouTube, Instagram, Yahoo, Pixart, Klarna, and WhatsApp. The combined current public market value for these companies is over $1.4 trillion, equivalent to 22% of the NASDAQ. Its portfolio is mainly in financial services, healthcare, outsourcing, and technology. By 2017, Sequoia Capital had originated 68 initial public offerings and 203 acquisitions. And what's this about? The link between Dominion, Sequoia, Smartmatic, and the CCP. Why Twitter banned Sidney Powell. Remember Sidney Powell? Yeah. Okay. May 2010, Dominion acquired Premier Election Solutions from Election System and Software, and June 2010 acquired Sequoia Holdings, which at the time had multiple voting systems controlled by Smartmatic in 16 states and 300 jurisdictions of the US. As a result, Dominion grew rapidly and achieved the second largest market share for a voting system in the US. Democracy hacked. Kerry concedes and acknowledges in private optical scanners were rigged. There you go. Very interesting, isn't it? Okay. Is this the same? No, this is different. Murray said, breaking. Phil Klein, former Kansas Attorney General and current director of Amistad Project. We already have suits in 6 states, but we're filing more based on this new data. A series of decisions at the local level, funded and encouraged by the flow of $350 million of Mark Zuckerberg. That's in regards to these machines, is it? Yep. And ballots. It's got to do with the election, okay? They're full on investigating the election. 650,000 extra voters on rolls in Michigan. CCP underground factories falsified blank American election ballots, allegedly. Okay, Tex Fisher says Washington, D.C. will no longer tax hardworking American overtime wages. Ohio should follow suit and pass my bill to exempt overtime wages from state income tax. Let's create a culture that rewards hard work and let people keep more of what they earn. Okay, what else do we have here? Oh, yes, there was a shooting in Manhattan, was that right? Oh, yeah, they said he was white. Thomas Hearns said they do know what he looks like, male, possibly white moustache and sunglasses. CNN's Erin Burnett claims the active shooter in New York City is possibly a white male. Does he look white to you? Yeah, that's what they always say. Like they say a London man attacked someone in Sweden when it was an actual import, you know? Okay, and FBI personnel are responding to provide any necessary support of Grand Traverse County Sheriff's Office in their investigation of the attacks at Walmart. So you've got a few going on at the moment. Cat Canada said, whenever you're feeling down, just remember $1 trillion worth of government propaganda didn't work on you over the last 5 years. Well done, guys. Well done. Gunther Eagleman said, you can't make this up. The man pictured is likely a white guy, according to experts at CNN. There's nothing about this guy that could be interpreted as white. Oh, my God. Breaking Manhattan active shooter reportedly found dead on the 33rd floor, according to New York Post. Active shooter reported at 345 Park Avenue near East 52nd Street. Suspect described as a Middle Eastern man wearing a bulletproof vest fired on police from the 32nd floor. At least 2 injured, including an NYPD officer. The bomb squad was on site. NYPD issued level 3 mobilisation, FBI agents supporting the response. Okay, and this last one. Libs of TikTok said breaking Supreme Court to take up case against Colorado School District, who tried to transition a girl behind her parents' back by convincing her to join a secret art club, which was really a gender sexuality club, and urged her not to tell her parents. Okay, wow. Oh no, one more. Senator Matt Canavan said breaking. The CSIRO, who's been pushing the climate thing in Australia, has finally admitted that coal is the cheapest form of electricity, and this is even after they bias almost all their assumptions against coal and in favour of wind and solar. Yes. Okay. With that, guys, I'm going to leave it there for today. I'll see if I can find more interesting stuff for tomorrow, and I hope to see you back here tomorrow. I don't know if I'm going live or not. We'll have a look. See how I go. It should snow, hopefully. Well, it shouldn't, maybe not. It may or may not snow. Let me rephrase that. It may or may not snow here. If it does, I might go live. But only if it actually snows this time, not if it just like on and off. Okay, guys, I hope you have a good morning, afternoon or evening, wherever you are, and I'll talk to you soon. Bye, guys.